So I'm sitting in Vegas with Alex Hormozi in the one-day school games mastermind that you attend when you win the school games, right? And he goes, you need to walk away from 1.3 million followers. We're going to duplicate the whole process from Arabic to English with
It's
another
so much
community.
work.
Yeah.
You're doing too much. And you adding more to your plate sounds like a very bad idea. That's
I
the
can't
issue.
even make content at all. All I can do is the software, and I'm still struggling with that.
You told everybody here what you did on your one business, and you are outworking just about everyone in this room on the one. I don't think it's a good idea.
And I'm just there thinking, what? Because the numbers are running in my head, right? I've got a print-on-demand business that's making $100,000 a month from that audience. A SaaS tool I'd built, 6 years of work, and over $3 million generated. And Alex is telling me to walk away from all of it, right? So I did. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. Because everything I am building right now, this channel, the Hormozi School community and tool, it all traces back to that one conversation in Vegas and what I decided to do afterwards. Now, if you're running a school community right now and you're stuck, maybe you're doing your own DMs, writing your own content, jumping on every call yourself. The hours are going in, but the revenue isn't matching the effort. Honestly, that was me more than once. So in this video, I want to walk you through the 6 seasons that got me to this point, what I learned at each stage, where I got it wrong, and how every single one of those moments, even the ugly ones, fed into what I'm building right now. And so if you're building a school community or even thinking about starting one, I'm going to share with you the lessons I wish someone had shared with me when I was starting out. And it starts in 2004, way before the subscribers, the revenue, the Vegas moments, and all of that. So to give you a bit of background and a bit of context, I'm half English, half Moroccan. I came to London when I was 19 with a British passport and $300 in my pocket. And within a couple of days, I got a job stacking shelves. And hear this, I'm on the first day of the job, right? And I'm treated like a nobody. And that really hit me. It hit my ego, not gonna lie. So at 3 p.m. that day, I literally just left. I walked straight out. I went to the police station because I thought, silly me, I thought, I've got a British passport. The government is going to help me. But I was wrong. They looked at me and they said, you're not a minor. Here are some charity numbers now. Good luck. And I remember standing there thinking, my whole life literally just crashed in front of me. I was 19 years old and nobody was coming to help. It's just me versus me. What am I gonna do? So I went back to the shop the next day and I told them I'd felt sick and I had to leave. I'm sorry. Because honestly, I didn't know what else to do and what else to say. And that's when I realized I have to get this done. I have to make some money. And let me tell you this, I never thought this was my identity. I never thought that this is what I was going to be doing for the rest of my life. Okay, never thought that. I'm just going to do what I need to do in order to go to the next level. That's it. So luckily, I managed to get shelter at a mosque for 3 months. And every single day, I would tell myself, this is temporary. You're not made for this, Adnan. And at one point, I got kicked out and I slept in a friend's steel van. Damn. It was rough. It was tough. It was freezing cold. The cold just penetrating your bones. Imagine that. And then a friend from the mosque got me a job as a delivery driver. And I did that for a year. Now think about this. Every dollar I was earning had to go towards my education. And so to keep the costs down, I was sharing a studio flat with 3 other guys. I was spending about $15 a week on food, barely eating. Gosh, just thinking about that, just it's really emotional. It just reminds me of how far along I came. Can you imagine? I was keeping myself hungry just so I can save every penny I could. And for what? For my education, right? That's what they tell you, right? You gotta study. Then one day I saw an ad on the back of a bus driving vacancies. So I applied and I got accepted and I became a bus driver, probably the youngest double-decker bus driver in London at the time. And honestly, this job was brutal, okay? I took the night shifts. In fact, the night shifts were a luxury. They paid more and you had to be more experienced. So somehow I convinced the general manager to give me a slot in the night shift. And so he did. And this way, so I could keep the day free in order to go to college and study, right? And for nearly 2 years, I was sleeping 0 to 1 hour a day during weekdays. And then in 2008, my mum passed away, unfortunately. And I had to go to Morocco that summer to visit her, right? And I came back to London, and within 2 weeks, she was gone. It really took me by surprise. She deteriorated so quickly, and I remember sitting at the bus terminus at 3 in the morning, alone, and I just cried. I literally just let it all out. And that night, I made a promise to myself. I'm getting my degree and my master's degree by the time I'm 26. I think I was 23 at the time, because that's what my mum wanted for me. And that became the fuel for everything. And so in 2010, I graduated with a BA degree in business management. And in 2011, I got my master's degree with commendation. And here's the thing, I graduated with zero debt, zero, in the UK, where the average student owes over $50,000. And that's the first lesson, no backup plan. And so when there's no backup plan, you figure out a plan A, okay? And I didn't have the luxury of quitting. And honestly, that's the thing I see with a lot of people running school communities. They're treating it like a side thing. And you can't do that. You've got to make a decision. Are you all in or are you not? Simple as that. So I had 2 degrees, but no career, no direction, and no money. And then something changed everything about how I think about business, which brings me to season 2. And so I started working at a health club chain called David Lloyd Clubs. And honestly, the people there made fun of me because I started late. I was older than most other sales consultants. But here's what I did. I practiced in the mirror every single day for hours. And the target on my first month was 45 sales. And guess what? Not only did I do it, but I did 95 sales, making me the top seller in the club, top in the region, hell, top in the entire company on my first month. And within a year and a half, I was sales manager. Then I was traveling across Europe, training other sales managers. And due to my impressive performance, they gave me the keys to open the biggest David Lloyd club in the country. And during those 6 years, I never missed a single sales target, personal or team target. And the reason was simple. I had a system. Inquiries came in, you book tours, you close memberships. That's it. And you do whatever it takes to achieve your target. You track everything. You follow the process every single day. And when you do that, the results just happen. It had nothing to do with talent. I was not the most talented salesperson in the company, but I was willing to learn and iterate. And I had a system that I followed every single day. And that beats talent every single time. And that's the second lesson. Systems beat talent. And the reason I'm telling you this is because most people running school communities right now, they think the problem is their content or their sales ability, but it's not. It has nothing to do with that. The problem is there's no system. They're just doing stuff randomly and hoping something sticks. It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping one sticks, right? And it doesn't work like that. So for 6 years, systems made me successful. And then I threw it all away, which brings me to season 3. So in 2016, I was doing side hustles literally all over the place when I was working at David Lloyd. You know, I did drop shipping, Amazon FBA, Etsy, merch by Amazon. And honestly, I would watch a tutorial, do half of it, blame the method, and then move on to the next thing. You might ask, why was I doing side hustle hopping, right? Well, because I always knew I wanted to have my own business and that I wanted to be free. But I didn't know how. I was just trying different things and I was all over the place. I underestimated the effort and the attention that it needed and the focus on all of that. And the truth is, being successful isn't easy when you don't know what to do. And so end of 2017, around November, I went to Dubai and I saw how people were living out there. I asked myself, can I do this with my current job? And the answer was definitely a no. So in December 2017, I literally went cold turkey and I quit David Lloyd. I walked away from 6 years of never missing a target, from 6 years in sales experience. And I went all in on building something online, something for myself. And that's when things fell apart. I tried an egg and oil business, went all the way to Agadir, found suppliers, built a Shopify store, but then I needed ads, influencer marketing, all sorts of things I didn't know how to do. And so it didn't work out. Then merch by Amazon started picking up naturally. So I was making around $500 a month by February 2018. Then after a couple of months, that jumped to $2,000 per month. And at this point, it was literally the best income I had from any online venture. So I gave that more attention, right? Naturally, you do that. And on top of everything, in October 2018, my wife had our first baby and there were complications. So I'm trying to take care of her and build a business from scratch at the same time. Can you imagine the stress? And here's the thing that really hit me. At David Lloyd, I had a system and I crushed it. Never missed a target for 6 years. Then I went solo and I lost all of that. I'm still the same person, but I'm now getting completely different results. Why? Well, because I was hustle hopping with no structure and literally struggling. And the realization was this. The business model was never the problem. I had been blaming dropshipping, blaming Amazon FBA, blaming print on demand, but the actual problem was that I had no systems. Being honest. And that's the third lesson. You choose one thing and you go all in. Because when I was scattered across 5 different things, nothing worked. And the moment I focused on one thing with one system behind it, everything worked. And honestly, if you're doing that right now, running a community and coaching and selling a course and posting on 5 different social media platforms, I'd say stop. Pick the one thing that's closest to working and build a system around that. You can always add the rest later, okay? So I finally learned. I chose one thing and I went all in, and I picked Print on Demand with Merch by Amazon, which brings me to season 4. So by now we're in November 2018 and things started picking up on the Merch by Amazon side because it was Q4 and all of the work I had been doing throughout the year started paying off, right? And in December 2018, I made $18,700. Literally the biggest month ever for me up until that time. And by June 2021, I had made $107,000 in 1 month. That's literally my all-time peak from Merch by Amazon. And in 2019, started a YouTube channel and a Facebook group. And over the years, I built a following of 1.3 million followers across social media, 500,000 subscribers on YouTube alone, 500,000 plus on Facebook, 41,000 on TikTok, and over 300,000 followers on Instagram. I taught over 10,000 students and generated over 5,000 verifiable results for my students, built a SaaS tool called Merch Dominator that became the #2 print-on-demand research tool in the world, and I had generated over $3 million online from my print-on-demand business. And I was still stuck because here's what happened. I was generating views on YouTube, but those views were not turning into sales as much as I would have liked them to. I was talking about all sorts of things in my videos, getting decent views sometimes, and it was all up and down. But the people watching weren't buying as much as I wanted them to. And then I started talking only about specific problems print-on-demand sellers were actually having. And something interesting happened. My views went down, but my sales went up. And even with that, there was a ceiling, right? My audience was mostly in Morocco, where the average salary is $300 a month. So people would buy and then cancel fast. I could not scale past about $50,000 to $100,000 a month. And it became really clear when I won the school games and went to Vegas. I saw people there making over $250,000, $350,000 a month. And I realized with my current setup and my current audience, I could never reach that level, no matter what I did. And that's the 4th lesson. Right audience beats big audience. Because I had 1.3 million followers and I was stuck at $50,000 to $100,000 a month. And the reason is simple. It doesn't matter how many people follow you if they can't afford what you sell. And that's the thing I would look at if I were you. Look at your community right now and ask yourself, are the people in there actually able to pay for what you're building? Are you targeting the right people? Are you attracting the right people? Because if the answer is no, then it's not a growth problem. It's a problem with your audience, right? So I had the audience, the revenue, the software, the results, but I knew I was not playing at the level I could be. And then one conversation changed everything, which brings me to season 5. But to get to that conversation, I have to rewind a little bit. So in 2024, I was fed up with Discord. I had 25,000 members and it felt dead. So I moved everything to school, and within 11 days, I made $45,000 and won the school games. Yay. This was back in September 2024, and that's when I went to Vegas. I spent a great time with very successful school games winners and some great people from the school HQ in the school games mansion. I spent a day with Alex Hormozy and Sam Ovens at the school games mastermind, and I told them my numbers, everything, the Arabic audience, the print-on-demand community, the SaaS, literally all of it. And Alex looks at me and said, you're doing way too much and you need to drop the Arabic audience, okay? You need to just walk away. Sam Ovens said the same thing as well. And Sam also stayed with us in the school mansion for a couple of days, and I had some amazing conversations with him, and he literally confirmed the same thing that Alex was saying. And also when I heard him talk about school and the transitions he had to make and the sacrifices, all of that in order to build school, right, to where it is now, which is absolutely phenomenal. I was like, that's it. That is the time when I need to pivot. And I met him again at the school head office in LA, and he literally asks me, where are you at with what we spoke about last month? He literally told me the same thing. Cut the Arabic audience. You can do much better. And I had to make a decision because we're talking about 500,000 YouTube subscribers, years of work, content, community, relationships. And the best business decision I ever made was walking away from all of it. I started fresh, English only, focused on school community owners who want to grow using data, AI, systems, and software. Because that's literally my background. I'm running a SaaS company. So perfect for building building a tool that will help school community owners grow with less work. And so I built the free Kamozy school community from scratch. And within a month, we ranked number 22 in the money category on school. We had 5,000 plus activities in a single day from just 60 members at the time. And I became a school ambassador. And that's the fifth lesson. Cut in order to grow. Because a smaller audience that's the right audience will always be a massive audience that can't pay for what you offer. Or an audience where you don't see a future with. And the thing I'd ask you is, what are you holding on to in your community that's actually holding you back right now? Maybe it's a product that's underpriced, or a group of people that aren't really your avatar, or a platform that just doesn't convert. Whatever it is, if it's giving you comfort but not results, just let it go. And so every single one of these lessons taught me the same thing from a different angle. Piling on more effort doesn't get you there. You've got to narrow down to what actually works for the people it's actually for, and build a system around that. And that's exactly what season 6 is about. And so every lesson led here, every phase of my career told the same story. At David Lloyd, with a system, I crushed it. When I went solo with no system, I struggled. On Print on Demand with data and structure, I crushed it again. Every single time there was a system, it worked. And every time there wasn't, it didn't. So I asked myself, what if someone builds the exact system and the software that community owners actually need? Not from theory, but from actually going through every stage themselves. The survival, the sales career, the hustle hopping, building a functioning business, hitting a ceiling, then starting over. And so I built Kamozy, the system and the operating system for school, which has CRM, analytics, AI, content, scheduling, automation, and so much more. And I used the exact system I now teach to launch it. Posts, outreach, conversations, calls, all of it. And so we launched Cohort 1. We started with 8 members at $5,000 each, and we made $40,000 in 7 days. And here's what happened. Adnan Rashid had years of sales experience. He thought he knew it all. And within a month, he closed a $6,000 deal. And he told me the sales script you provided is pure gold. Sangeeta was an engineer, never sold anything in her life, and then she closed 2 sales at $497 each within a month. And honestly, every lesson led here. The survival taught me urgency, the sales career taught me systems, the hustle hopping taught me focus, the plateau taught me about audience, and cutting it all taught me clarity. And Kamozy is where all of that comes together. So if you're a school community owner and you're going through any of what I just described, you're overwhelmed, you're plateaued, you're doing everything manually, and there's no system behind it. That's exactly why I built this. So check out the free Kamozy community, link in the description. And if you're ready to work with me directly to build a real system for your community, book a strategy call. That link is below too. And if you want to see how these lessons play out in practice, subscribe, because this is just the beginning and the best is yet to come. I'll see you in the next one.